What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for pressing play. Today we are going to be swapping out all of the incandescent bulbs out of the C6 Corvette Z06 and moving up to something much more current, LED. So let's walk through, get all of the exterior bulbs replaced so you guys can see the massive difference that this makes. One of the biggest downfalls of the C6 Corvette, in my opinion, is the fact that there are very few LEDs on this car. They're mostly incandescents, and as you can see here, very yellow. And as you can tell, yellow is not really a great look for this car. So we're gonna fix that today. We're gonna replace all of these lights with LEDs, giving it a much more up-to-date appearance. All right, guys, so you can probably tell by now we are not at the typical filming location. We're here at Blackout Tinting in Gibsonia. They've been kind enough to let us use their showroom to install some LEDs. So like I said, we're doing LED swaps all around on the C6 Corvette Z06, and we're using Lasfit, of course. These are the go-tos for me when it comes to replacing incandescent bulbs with LED stuff. I've done this before in my Colorados, and these are always the way to go. I will, of course, drop a link to all of these in the description down below if you're interested in swapping out any of your LEDs on your C6, but let's get started. All right, so we're about to jack up the car, and we're gonna use a breaker bar to go ahead and remove the wheel off the C6 Corvette, because behind there is an access panel to the headlights. We're gonna need to get to the headlight and the fog light to replace some of these incandescent bulbs. So we got a 19mm socket on here. We're gonna go ahead and break these lug nuts loose. Okay, so we are here on the passenger side of the C6 Corvette, and as you can see, towards the front of the vehicle, there is an access panel that is inside of the fender well, and these are all held on with little push clips. So we'll pop these out, and then this will actually give us access to the back side of the headlight to change out the high beam and the turn signal. And then once we move on to the fog light, it will be lower down. So we got the flap pulled back here, guys. We have access now to the high beam, the low beam, and what we're gonna be working on specifically is the turn signal right here. So we'll give that a quarter turn and we can pop it out. And just like that, we're popped out. We'll go ahead and swap in the LED now. So these are the LEDs we're going to be swapping with, and as you can see, they are significantly bigger, but these are going to be switchback LEDs. So they're going to light up white, and they're going to turn an amber color whenever you hit the turn signal. So that is what we're going to be swapping in. I will, of course, put all the part numbers and the links in the description below if you're interested in doing something like this for your own C6. This is greatly going to increase how much more modern the car looks. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pop this in. And then I'm gonna go test it to make sure it works before buttoning everything back up. Good thing we tested it, because it was not in there right. So you gotta pull it out, flip it, pop it back in. Now it should work. It's working! So as you can see, guys, it is a bright white during the day, and then if you hit the turn signal, it lights up yellow. So once we got the LED back in there, this is what you can expect it to look like. So during the day, it is going to have a very daytime running light-esque look about it. And then when you hit the turn signal, of course, it's still going to flash yellow. And it's going to flash in a really crisp manner because it is an LED with a built-in resistor. So you can see pretty clearly it's on or off on the left side, and on the right, it glows on and glows off. So no one will ever mistake if you're turning or not. So we got the turn signal done, and the next step is going to be, of course, the low beam on the passenger side here on the C6. And this is the bulb we went with, again, with Lasfit. It's one of their best bulbs, so it is going to offer a significant amount of brightness. And this is just for the high beams. As you guys know, the C6 has an HID bulb for the low beams, so there's not really any point in changing that, but the high beams can definitely benefit from a little bit more of an updated look. All right, so the next step, like I said, is the high beams. It is the one over on the far left. You just pop off this rubber dust cup boot, grab it right there and pull it off. And then of course, inside is again a quarter turn, and there's the high beam. So we'll pop this out and go ahead and get the new Lasfit LED installed. And we'll see how good that looks, because this is going to be much more up to date. It's going to be a lot more of a matching color for the low beam. But again, we got to make sure the polarity is correct. So it's not right, we got to flip it. There she is. Look how bright that is. Obviously the next step is to just put it in there, quarter turn it into place. So once again, the passenger side is done and the driver's side is not done. You can clearly see the difference here. So it offers a lot more brightness, a much more current look, obviously a lot more white than the stock, more yellow incandescent bulb approach. And then once again, of course, that turn signal flashing is just a lot more prominent. But let's move on to the fog lights. The easiest way to access the fog light is to pull back on the fender well shield here, which is held in with 5 T15 screws. We're going to remove those and then 2 push clips in here. We'll be able to pull this back enough to get to the fog light itself, and you'll also be able to gain access to the side marker if you're planning on changing the LEDs there. We are not, because we're going to change this entire assembly to a full LED array. For now, let's get to that fog light. All right, guys, so we got the fender bolts out, and you can see, if you pull it back enough here, you can actually see the fog light bulb housing right here. I'll just grab there and quarter turn it and pull it out to get access. We'll replace this with an LED as well. So here's the bulbs we're going to be using today. These are again from Lasfit. They're LEDs. They're going to match the high beams and the HIDs we have in the car currently. They're not super large, but they do still have a fan on the back, so be aware of that. But we're going to go ahead and get these installed, and I'll show you the difference between the incandescent and these LEDs once again in the front. With the LED, we'll go ahead and just grab the stock connector here. And once again, we're going to have to make sure that these things are put on correctly, because there is no polarity measurements inside, so we'll go ahead and test those out. We verified that the bulb is working, so we'll just go ahead, put it into the stock location, quarter turn it in, and we are done. The fog lights from the front here, guys, you can see that passenger side is obviously a lot brighter than the driver's side, and it's going to match the factory HIDs and that new turn signal bulb that we put in there really nicely. So everything's going to be a real nice shade of white versus the yellow that the incandescent comes out with. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and repeat this same process on the driver's side, but we're not necessarily going to bore you with that. We're going to move on to the back side of the car, where there's a couple other incandescent bulbs we need to replace. All right, guys, so we are here at the back of the car. We're going to go ahead and replace the incandescent backup lights. So these ones right here light up that same kind of yellow that the front does. We're going to use the Lasfit LEDs to replace those as well, so let's get to it. So underneath the car, we got to really reach in here a pretty good bit, but once you find the socket, you can actually just quarter turn it out and pop it out. Now I can't even show you because the cord's not that long, but I can reach up in here, pull the bulb out of it, and there it is. Now we'll go ahead and just swap in the LED. And of course the LED is going to be the same thing as the front was. If it's in there the wrong way, it's not going to light up. So we're going to have to test it before we get out of here. And the shot from the back, guys, as you can see, it looks a lot more up to date. So we got a really nice white light on the passenger side and a much more incandescent yellow look on the driver's side. Looks a lot more modern, and it's going to make the car literally look more up to date. All right, so lastly, after the backup lights, we have really only 6 more to go, but we're not going to do 4 of them. These taillights could be upgraded to LED, but we're going to pass on that for now because I have something special for those coming very soon. But what is next is going to actually be the license plate lights. So up under here, these things will glow very incandescent-like, as well as the rest of this stuff before you replace it. To get to these, it's really the easiest to actually take out this tail light. You can then just reach around here and unclip the license plate bulbs and replace them from there. So the tail light, there's just one screw up underneath that we can pop out, and then that whole tail light will actually come out of the bumper. And it is a T15 screw, so go ahead and remove that, and then we can get access to the back side of those license plate bulbs. So as you can see with the tail light out, we can just stick our hand right down through there and get access to the back side of those license plate bulbs, just like this. And like the rest of them, guys, we are going with the Lasfit bulbs. These are a T10, and they will replace the stock ones to give you that more white look. Pretty interesting design. I'll come back in here, grab the bulb, pull it out. Of course, all this is done blind. Here we can see the comparison between the stock and the LED. So you got to do most of this blind, unless of course you want to take out the entire assembly, which I didn't really want to do. So it's up to you how you want to do it. All right, so as you can see here, guys, this is the stock incandescent. And then of course, compared to the LED there, it's going to give it that much more up-to-date appearance again. So we'll finish up this side and then we are good to go. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. As you can see here, we're able to see the turn signal area that's set up more of a daytime running light now, and down below it, the fog light that's going to put out a lot more light and a lot cleaner looking light. So it's going to be more white than your typical yellow kind of incandescent bulb. Now, we also did the backup bulbs and the license plate bulbs to really give this thing a up-to-date approach. We did the high beam as well, but that's not visible here because I wanted to show off the fog lights. But at the end of the day, guys, these are going to be super useful, and it's going to make the car look more up to date, which is really important with the C6 because it is starting to get a little dated. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it. So if you are interested in any of these bulbs, I will link them in the description down below. They all come from Lasfit, and I've worked with them quite a bit in the past. I have had really good luck with their products and their warranties, their customer service. It's all really fantastic stuff. Check out the description down below if you want to grab any of these bulbs for your C6. Otherwise, guys, we will catch you in the next upload.